Welcome to Mason Cable News. My name is Nylah Mitchell.
And I'm Shreyas Adicherla. April is National Stress Awareness Month. Take a mental health break and join GMU's Counseling and Psychological Services, also known as CAPS, for Stress Less Fest. This event is in collaboration with American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, Center for the Advancement of Wellbeing, GMU Student Health Services, and Mason Student Government. This fair will feature giant lawn games, Rita's Italian Eyes, giant mural painting, music, and various informational tables. The event will be on Wednesday, April 26th from 2 to 4 p.m. at Sub 1 Quad.
The annual Mason Film Festival is kicking off this year in just a few weeks. Come to the Johnson Center Cinema, where there will be a variety of student films, documentaries, community-engaged learning projects, and music videos. The event is free and open to the public and will start on Thursday, May 4th and end on Friday, May 6th. To find the times for each event and to register, go to Mason 360.
We will be continuing our coverage on the controversy regarding Glenn Youngkin being this year's spring commencement speaker. This week, we're proud to introduce John Dressel from GMU Dems to talk about the impact of student political organizing and how they have been actively involved in projecting the student reaction to this decision.
Hello, so today I'm here with GMU Dems Vice President, John Dressel. Hello, John, how are you doing today?
I'm great, it's great to be here.
All right, so this is part of our continued package on Governor Glenn Youngkin being represented at the spring commencement. We know that GMU Dems has been very active, especially on this issue. So what's, I guess, the GMU Dems stance on this currently?
Right, so we were incredibly disappointed to hear that Governor Youngkin was going to be the commencement speaker this year, mostly in disappointment for the graduating class. They worked so hard, and Governor Youngkin stands quite against many of the values that the university preaches about: diversity, inclusion, just generally progressive values that I think a majority of the university students hold. So for someone to come who directly opposes those values that we hold, it was really disappointing to see that that was going to be their graduation speaker, their big day sort of speaker to celebrate their achievements. It was disappointing. So.
Right, and we know that GMU Dems is one of the biggest political organizations that people can join here at George Mason. How, as a political organization, do you feel GMU Dems has a special place for advocacy?
Yeah, we really like to get people involved as much as possible. So in terms of advocacy, we have protests that we'll hold. Recently we held one about Youngkin speaking on campus. We go to different protests. We were also this past weekend in front of the NRA headquarters protesting against gun violence and the lobbyist money that the NRA pours into common sense gun reform. And then we also have candidates left and right coming to our meetings, and we give them a voice too, and we highly encourage them to give some of our members and different students different opportunities to really go out into their community and work for these candidates and for the values that they hold.
So we know this is like youth leadership, and especially with such a large political party in the United States, how does youth leadership play such an important role?
The youth are quite honestly the future. I mean, it's said all the time, but it's more important now than ever. There's constantly, especially I would say on the right side of the political aisle, those who want to silence the youth vote and the youth voice, and it's really important to make sure that the youth in our community are voting, they're knowledgeable about the issues, and they understand that ultimately we should be the ones at the forefront of these decisions. We have the longest to go here. We have the most at stake in terms of our future and what we want to see. And it's about time, honestly, that the power threshold has shifted from sort of the older voters and the older politicians to the younger generation. So we love to get the youth involved, and it's incredibly important.
And speaking on getting youth involved, we know that GMU Dems does a lot of organizing on campus. How was the organizing for the opposition for Governor Glenn Youngkin coming here? What are the behind the scenes looking like for that?
I think it's been great so far. There's, besides Democrats at Mason, different organizations that are trying to get involved or are getting involved in sort of taking the charge. BLACC, Democratic Socialist, NIA. There's a lot of organizations that are trying to work together in sort of a show of broad opposition. So it's been really great so far. We had a protest that Democrats at Mason organized at Wilkins Plaza, had roughly, I think it was about 150 people, which is very good for a commuting campus, and it was really good to see some of these students show out and show their opposition in a very respectful manner and to use their voices. So it's been great so far, and we have more coming, more planned. The goal here is just to make sure that whatever Youngkin is going to bring in terms of his message to campus, we're going to make sure that we have a louder message in support of trans rights, minority rights, education rights, all those things. We want to make sure our message is able to speak louder and have more volume than his.
And outside of organizing, we know that a lot of people at Mason, or just people in general, are pretty politically neutral. What would the benefit be for someone to join a political organization on campus?
I think, so there's a little bit to that. I think that there is a lot of political neutrality on campus, but there's also, it's sort of still like a broad consensus on different progressive values that I think most students on campus hold. In support of the rights that I just listed, I think most students on campus would be in broad support of that. And in terms of neutrality, what we need to do is let them know that their voice is always welcomed and it's always going to be heard, or we're going to always try to get it heard. They might, feel this barrier. They might not keep up with politics like some of us, some of the leaders within Democrats at Mason do, but we don't want that to stop them because we know that there's different issues that people deeply care about. And if you want your voice to be heard about them, we want you to come to us, come to these different other organizations that are there to uplift your voice. So there's issues they'll care about, and in terms of neutrality, it's just a matter of letting them know that they have a spot to get that voice heard.
So how does GMU Dems, I guess, spill up from outside of the college spectrum? So we know that it's a political organization on campus, but it's not just targeting things that are happening on campus, but things into the real world. What does the GMU Dems do to make that spill up happen?
Yeah, so like I said, we've got candidates, they'll come, they speak to us, they give these opportunities to go canvass for them to work on their campaigns. So if there's different political candidates that you really support, their agenda or whatever it is, there's always those opportunities we bring up on our Instagram or in our meetings to go work for them. So that's one way. But as Democrats at Mason, we want blue votes. So we go out and we make sure to register voters, and then we try to get them involved in campaigns, overall making sure that Virginia stays a blue state. It was recently turned over to a more conservative governor, right. And especially now our efforts are focused on flipping that back to what I truly believe is a blue state. And then other than that, we have issues that we broadly speak out against on our social media that have been getting quite a bit of attention lately, especially with Youngkin coming. And just to kind of show the what's the word I'm looking for, the outreach that we have. Catherine Reed, we worked very closely with Mayor Catherine Reed, and we'd like to say that our efforts were definitely a big part of her getting elected. She was heavily out-donated. Sanghi, her opponent, was getting broad amounts of money from Governor Youngkin and different other conservative activists that wanted to push for his campaign to win, and she was outspent, but we went out, we knocked doors, we got students involved, we spread the word, and we're very grateful we were able to help her win. So that's just a little example on how we're able to really influence the broader community rather than just towards Mason.
And then, so yeah, I did speak about political neutrality earlier, but we also know that there is a broad amount of ideas. How does GMU Dems try to facilitate, I guess, meaningful conversation? Because with a lot of political opinions, things can get out of hand. I guess what do you all do to make that conversation be neutral, or not neutral, but
civil?
Yeah, civil. Yeah, civil is a good word.
That's something I heavily support. There are many ideas that I have, personally I just strongly disagree with, and some of which I think are very dangerous to society if they're, again, a big part of Youngkin coming on campus. Big part of our opposition to that is, his ideas that are transphobic and or just blatantly racist or anything like that. Those ideas are very dangerous to spread and let spread throughout a community. But I think what we can say to that is that Youngkin will speak at commencement, although we are not happy about it. We are not going to wish to strike down his right to speak. Instead, we'll wish to have our voices conveyed in some other way and make ours louder. So I think that says something about civility and just blatant, plain respect for other individuals is something that we do try to keep. We don't want to be hostile towards someone. That doesn't really help us get our message across, which is one of unity and progressiveness, and those values that we hold dear, they don't really come across if we're doing sort of the same thing as what the other side might do, which is try to drown out other people's ideas. We don't have any, I don't have any hatred for college Republicans or anything like that. But so there's where the civility is, just having that blatant respect and seeing if there's any way that we can come together and make a better Mason campus or better community. Unfortunately, we just disagree heavily on a lot of those things.
Right. And I guess wrapping up a little bit, what can we expect from GMU Dems in the near future?
Yeah, working with those other organizations to have something big happen at commencement to make our message louder. We're going to continue to work with different candidates, make sure they get elected. This year is a General Assembly election year. We're going to do everything we can to keep the brick wall in the Senate, to stop Youngkin's agenda, especially his anti-abortion agenda. If we don't keep that brick wall in the Senate, keep that majority in the Senate, he's going to have free reign. So we also want to flip the House of Delegates to make sure that we have everything we can possible to stop those really harmful parts of his agenda from going through. We're going to continue to work with those candidates, continue to bring them to our meetings, continue to get students involved. We'll continue to protest at the NRA headquarters. We'll continue to speak out on our social media. We're going to do everything that Dems has been doing for years now. And we're just very excited that, honestly, we're back. It's COVID. A lot of RSOs took a big hit. But Democrats at Mason, we've been doing really well recently. We won recently Chapter of the Year for Virginia Young Democrats. So we're just going to continue the work we've been doing, try to do it better, get everyone involved, and let people know what we're about and get that blue vote out in Virginia. And then for new people who want to join, how can they contact y'all and how to stay in touch, I guess? Yeah, so following our socials is a great way. That's where we're most active. So GMU Dems on Instagram, on Twitter, shoot us a DM. We also have meetings every Wednesday at 7:30. That might change next semester to maybe 6:30, 6 earlier, but generally 7:30 on Wednesdays is when we do our meetings. Currently we have a few left. We do them Enterprise 276. So go to those, show up to those. That's where you can get the most information. And then our email is georgiamasondems@gmail.com. Reach out to us there. But if you reach out anywhere there, we'll contact you, we'll talk to you, let you know how to get involved. And ultimately we want to see people come to our meetings and give them the information that I've just been giving you and let them know different ways they can get involved and how to go about that. All right. Well, great. Thank you for interviewing with us. Thank you so much. I hope the best for y'all in the future. Thank you. All right, of course. Yeah.
Jeffrey Carberry will now give you the weather forecast for the upcoming week.
Hello, Patriots. Today was a hot one with a high of 88, but it will cool down later to 62. Friday will hit 90 as a high, but will drop down to 62 for a low. Saturday will start the weekend with a 70% chance of rain and a high of 78, with a low being 48 later that evening. On Sunday, there will be early showers with a high of 65 and a low of 44. Monday will start next week with sunny weather and a high of 61 and a low of 41. Tuesday will also be sunny with a high of 63 and a low of 40. Wednesday will be partly cloudy with the high hitting 68 and the low being 45. Enjoy the nice weather, Patriots, and now back to Shreyas and Nylah.
In Mason sports this week, Ali Rail wins yet another Atlantic Pitcher of the Week award. It is a continuation of her fine form all throughout the season and a testament to the great work she has done to ensure that the softball team remains unbeaten in their 7th consecutive game this season. The softball team has won their sixth conference series this season, sweeping St. Joseph's in a triumphant win and a dominant display of their fine form. The softball team heads to Dayton to take on the University of Dayton this weekend and comes back to the George Mason softball complex to take on Georgetown on Wednesday. In baseball, the Patriots host St. Bonaventure in a weekend series. The 3-game series will start tomorrow at Feeler Field. The expected starting pitcher for the first game is Ben Shields, who was named co-pitcher of the week on April 3rd. The Patriots will be hoping to take the win after a rocky spell of games, as they're hoping to get back in form towards the back end of the season. The Patriots have scored the first run in 6 of their last 8 games, but also lost 6 games in that same span. But there's a reason to be optimistic against St. Bonaventure, a team that the Patriots have beaten in 7 out of their last 8 meetings. And the track and field Patriots are heading to the Navy Spring Meet 2 in Annapolis, Maryland. The decathlon and heptathlon runs start on Friday along with the women's and men's discus. Saturday has field events and men's and women's hammer throw. This is all coming down to the A10's Outdoor Championships that will take place in Amherst, Massachusetts in 2 weeks.
Mason students government welcomes its new administration after Speaker Paul Weich and Government and Community Relations Chair Nell Palumbo were recently elected as the new president and vice president. Today, however, Shreyas was able to sit down with Sophia Nguyen, president of the last administration, to talk about all that her administration had accomplished over the past year.
Hey all, so I'm here with Sophia Nguyen, the president, or the outgoing president of the student government here at George Mason. How are you doing today, Sophia?
I'm doing well. It's beautiful outside, so I'm definitely going to go on a long walk after this interview.
That's great.
I love beautiful weather.
Great. So it's been, I would say, a long year.
Extremely long year.
How's this experience been for you being the president?
It has been such a wonderful roller coaster. As I'm the outgoing president, I usually tell people it's been a roller coaster with a lot of ups and downs, a lot of bumps, a lot of heartbreaks, a lot of loop-de-loops. But despite this roller coaster being, a doozy one, I definitely would do it all over again because it has been the most rewarding experience of my life, and I would do it all over again.
So, being the president is a very hefty job. What did you find most difficult?
I would say the one thing that I found most difficult was trying to create as many connections as possible. I do know that in recent years, student government hasn't had, the best relationships with some student organizations, even some Mason administrators themselves. I really just wanted to make that my focus and my top priority this year. And it was difficult at first, but I think one of my proudest achievements is forming new relationships, forming new connections that we've never had before, allowing to meet with more students and get to know more about their concerns and issues on campus. I think this year we've truly made a lot of progress in terms of being the sole voice of the student body and actually creating some valuable change. So yes, it came with some difficulties, but I think we powered through and was able to make something, was able to have a better outcome for it.
So it sounds like y'all did like a bunch of great stuff. In your opinion, what has been some of the biggest wins this year?
Oh my goodness, that is such a hard question because I feel like we've had so many. Like I said, I feel like a lot of our connections with Mason administrators and Mason faculty members have progressed. We've definitely have been more in touch with them. We've definitely collaborated with them with a ton of our events. We're actually having a farmers market next Tuesday, which I hope you all can be there. We have 10 student organizations, a lot of organizations that we've actually never partnered with for an event before. And I'm really excited about that, but we're also partnering with Mason University Sustainability and Mason Dining, 2 very big and wonderful departments at GMU, in which we, haven't always been the close with, but now we are, which I'm really proud of. So I would say that would be a major win. I would say another one of our major wins is just really holding Mason administration accountable. This year we've definitely seen some hypocrisy, amongst with some Mason administrators, and we definitely wanted to let the students know that we are able to speak out on it, that we won't stay silent on it, and that we will make sure that Mason administrators know what our opinions are and how we can make our students feel safe.
Mm-hmm. And as a review, there's probably some things that you weren't able to get over the line. What's something you wish that the next administration can carry forward?
I would say, I'm going to bring this up again, but connections with student organizations is extremely vital. Being connected with our community, being able to listen to various groups of people who have different backgrounds is extremely important for our organization as a whole. I would just like the next administration to continue that conversations moving forward. This year, we've definitely had a lot of student government members who have been so active with joining other student orgs events and their initiatives and their, general body meetings. I definitely want that to be a top priority for the next administration, because just putting yourself out there and letting other students know that you are here for them, that you're there to listen to their voices and concerns, or just simply there to have fun and just get to know a little bit more about who they are, what their culture is, and all of that is extremely important. So I hope that the next administration can carry forward with that.
And being an Asian woman in such a big leadership position, how has your unique experience really helped in transforming this transforming student gov, I guess?
Yeah, I would say being an Asian woman, I have a diverse background of some sorts. I know growing up I lived in a predominantly white community. I was one of 4 Asian American students out of my graduating class. When I came to Mason, I truly admired how diverse we were. I truly admired how many new Asian American friends that I made and how close I've gotten with my community and my culture. I think being an Asian woman in student government really defeats the odds and defeats the status quo, because the Asian American community can be seen as very passive. We don't really get ourselves involved in politics. We really don't get ourselves involved in public service and advocacy. We tend to be silent on certain issues, but I really want to pave the way to defeat that status quo, because every community's concerns and issues are just as important as others. And I really hope that me being in this position of power, that other Asian American individuals can feel empowered to speak up and create change within our community.
And I guess starting to close off, where can we see you in the future? Now that your presidency is over, what else will you be involved with?
So this is a secret, but I'm not sure how many people would be able to see this, but I'm actually now the president of the Asian Pacific American Coalition. That night market, which is this Friday. So please come on out if you can. Enjoy some Asian vendors, student performances from our Asian Pacific American Coalition organizations, and a special headliner. And then the new e-board will be announced. So yeah, that's where I will be at next year. And I will also be a graduate student. So you'll see me walking around.
That's great to hear. And thank you for being with us today. And congrats for the future.
Thank you.
The Asian Pacific American Coalition at George Mason has announced their secret headliner for the annual night market. This year, the headliner will be Hojin. Hojin is a Georgia-based Korean-American R&B artist who's known for his indie music catered towards the Asian American community. You will be able to catch him and everything involved with this event on April 21st at Mason Pond from 5:30 to 10 p.m. Register at Mason 360.
PAC has also announced their headliners for Mason Day 2023. This year, British singer Bakar will be headlining the show. He is best known for the song Hell and Back, which has gained over 250 million streams on Spotify. He will join other artists such as Crash Adams, Binky, Chica, Sammy Rash, as well as student performances. Mason Day will take place at Lot A and L on Friday, April 28th from 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. Register at Mason 360. Shreyas, are you excited for any of these headliners?
100% is what I can say.
Yeah.
So I guess started with the APAC night market, which is tomorrow. Hojin will be there, and I've always liked indie music, and especially indie music catered towards Asian Americans, and Hojin's always been the forefront of that, especially his new album Swings, which was excellent. I highly recommend it.
Oh,
yeah,
that sounds exciting. You can never go wrong with indie music.
Right.
I'm super excited for Bakar. We were just talking about this earlier. Yeah. I was just watching his Coachella set, weekend 1, and I will be watching weekend 2. But I'm so excited. I don't think my friends actually understand how I'm gonna be singing his music top of my lungs, and they're probably gonna film me just looking crazy.
Yeah.
But I'm excited because honestly, anything alternative / indie is pretty cool to me.
And same thing, I think that the other performers are also gonna be great, especially also the student performers, both here, and I know there's gonna be student performers at the APAC night market.
Yeah.
It'll just be great events, and
I think it's gonna be fun. I mean, honestly, you can never go wrong with listening to new artists that you don't really necessarily know of, especially because it can open your ears to like a different genre. Like you can never go
100%.
wrong with like expanding your playlists, you know.
Right, yep.
Thank you so much for tuning in, Patriots. You can keep up to date with news on and off campus if you follow us on Instagram at MCN on TV, on Twitter, and Facebook at Mason Cable Network. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'm Nylah Mitchell.
And I'm Shreyas Adicherla. We here at Mason Cable Network wish our Muslim patriots Eid Mubarak and a great rest of the week for all.